I wasn't supposed to take same-day jobs, but the woman sounded wrecked. My sitter bailed, we'll pay double. 2 boys, 7 and 9, house in a new development, gray everything, espresso machine louder than conversation. The mother shoved on her trench coat while her husband hovered, checking his watch. Bedtime by 8, she said. Dinner's in the fridge. Wi-Fi is Mint Tulip 23. If the smoke alarm chirps, it's the basement battery. Ignore it. We're late. The husband said nothing except thanks while handing me a stack of 20s. His palm shook. That caught my eye. The boys, Aiden and Leo, were glued to a tablet at the island. Frozen pizza, I asked. They nodded without looking up. The door to the basement sat at the end of a narrow hall. White paint. Scratches near the bottom like a dog had worried it. A small, round keypad lock blinked red. We ate. We watched 2 episodes of a show where everything screams. The younger one, Aiden, kept glancing down the hall. When do your parents usually get back? I asked. Late, Leo said. Sometimes really late. A chirp echoed. The smoke alarm, 2 rooms away. Battery, I said. Your mom warned me. Aiden curled his toes into the bar stool. It doesn't chirp. It knocks. At 7:50, we started bedtime. Toothpaste spit, pajamas, a negotiation over nightlights. When I came out of their room, the chirp turned into 2 sharp taps from the hall, not the ceiling, the door. Just the alarm, I called like I believed it. I checked the hallway. The keypad showed a steady red. A square of paper had been taped under the knob. I hadn't seen it earlier. The handwriting looked like a child's, letters big as Lego bricks. Do not open. He'll say he's sorry. He isn't. My scalp prickled. I knocked on the boy's door. Did you tape a note by the basement? Silence. Then whispering, fabric hushes. Leo opened the door 3 inches. You weren't supposed to see it, he said. Why is it there? So you don't open it, Aiden said from the bed. Because of who? Leo's eyes flickered to his brother. We're supposed to say, no one is down there. Supposed to, or true. He didn't answer. Another knock, softer, like knuckles testing wood. I felt the old childhood fear rise. Everyone knows the shape of it, paired with a new adult. Responsibility. I'm the only grown-up here. The door must be faulty, the battery must be falling down. There's some electrical thing. I walked back to the hall. The note fluttered in the AC. I put my ear to the wood. When people say they heard breathing, they usually mean they heard themselves. I heard someone shifting behind the door, cloth on concrete, a shoe toe scraping. Hello? My voice sounded fake. Who's there? A pause, then a man's voice, muffled but clear. Please, it's cold. Tell Mom I'm sorry. I won't do it again. My mouth dried. The boy's bedroom door clicked. The older one stood there, shaking his head. Don't talk to him, Leo said. Who is he? Aiden's voice drifted from the bed. He says he's Max. I remembered the framed photo by the staircase. A beach picture with the mom, the dad, and 3 boys. The third boy, older by a head, stood slightly apart. Same gray house palette, even at the ocean. No name on the frame. I stepped away. Your parents didn't mention. We're not supposed to talk about it, Leo said. His chin wobbled, but his eyes were steady. If you open the door, he'll ruin it. That's what Dad said. What's it? Us. Knocking, again. 3 slow taps. The voice returned softer. Please, Leo. I'll give your cards back. I didn't mean it. I can be good. The way he said good made my stomach twist. I thumbed my phone. No signal in the hall. I walked to the front window, checked the street. Empty cul-de-sac. Black SUV at the curb pulsing with a security light. I typed a message to Mom. Everything. Okay? Basement door is knocking. Someone saying they're Max. My phone thought for a long time, then failed to send. At 8:23, the house settled into that evening quiet where every appliance has a personality. The chirp didn't return. The knocks did every few minutes, almost like someone letting me forget before reminding me. I tried the parents' bedroom phone landline. No dial tone. A decorative prop. I made a rule. If the boys stayed in bed and no screaming started, I'd ignore the door. I curled on the couch with an eye on the hallway. At 8:41, a different sound cut through. A plastic clatter, then a muffled cry down the hall. I ran. Aiden had left his bed. He was kneeling by the door, palms on it, whispering fast like someone trying to finish before being caught. When he saw me, he flinched. "He says he's cold," he said. "He says he can smell pizza." Leo stood behind him, jaw tight. "Back in bed," I said. "Now." Aiden stared at the note. He promised not to do it again. "Do what?" "Take the bad thing out," Aiden said. Leo grabbed his brother's wrist. "Stop." I got them into bed. I told a story I made up on the spot about a brave raccoon. While I talked, the knocks stopped. Their breathing slowed. I turned out the lamp. I stood in the hall and waited for the next sound. Instead of knocking, I heard a new noise. The keypad chirped. The red light turned green. I froze. I hadn't touched it. The door eased open a quarter inch, wood complaining. Cold air breathed out. The smell wasn't rot, it was damp lint and iron. A man's whisper slipped through the crack. "Thank you." I slapped the door shut and thumbed 0.000. The light went green again. I tried 1, 2, 3, 4. Green. Every code I typed turned it green. I didn't know the right code, but the wrong ones worked anyway. "Stop it," Leo said from behind me. He had left his bed again. His face was pale. "You can't lock him out. Dad said the lock is for us." "For us?" I backed away. "What did Max do?" Leo stared past me at the door and swallowed. "He started pretending," he said. "At first it was a joke. Then it wasn't. I didn't ask what that meant. My brain supplied too many options, none good. I walked them both to the kitchen, turned on every light and handed them apples like the presence of fruit would normalize the moment. A slow scrape echoed from the hall. Not knocking. Dragging. The door edged open again, an inch this time. A shadow filled the crack. A breath. Then something slid under the gap. It stopped against my shoe. It was a photograph. Glossy, 4:6. The beach picture. Only this version had something extra. If you looked at the older boy's eyes, they weren't looking at the camera. They were looking at the littlest one. And if you looked at his mouth, it wasn't quite closed. And if you looked at his hand, it was pinching a bit of the littlest one's shirt right where the collar meets the throat. I flipped the photo over. On the back, in that same big crayon handwriting, he didn't stop. A hand patted the other side of the door, not banging. A patient tap, like a parent waiting at a bathroom. "Tell Dad," the voice said, soft and even. I learned my lesson. "Let me back in." "Back in where?" I asked before I could stop myself. Silence. Then a smile in the voice I couldn't see. "Back in the family." The front door lock rattled. Mom's laugh exploded into the entry, too loud and too bright. The dad's shape followed, then stopped when he saw me, the boys, and the open hall. He set down his keys slowly. "Did he talk to you?" Dad asked. I nodded. He closed his eyes for one long second like a swimmer bracing for cold. Mom gathered the boys, murmuring into their hair. "You did so good," she said. "You stayed out here." Dad walked to the basement and shut the door fully. He did not touch the keypad. He pressed his palm flat to the wood. The light turned, red. He leaned his forehead on the door and whispered, "Enough." The voice on the other side laughed. Not loud, delighted. "We both know it isn't." Dad's lips trembled. "Max," he said, "please." "That's not my name anymore," the voice said. "You changed it." Mom steered the kids toward the stairs. Say thank you to the sitter, she said, trying to sound normal and not succeeding. Aiden waved and started to cry. Leo didn't look away from the door. Dad handed me the rest of the cash with a shaking hand. We forgot to tell you about the alarm, he said dumbly. It's fine, I lied. One question. He waited. What happens if someone opens the door? Dad stared at the wood like he could burn through it. He gets to come upstairs, he said. And then we start over. I left before he could explain. My car headlights splashed the gray houses in the cul-de-sac. Every single one had a basement. Most had children. The photo in my pocket throbbed like a second heartbeat. At home, I put the picture in a drawer. I blocked the number that had texted me the job offer. 2 weeks later, a certified letter arrived with no return address. Inside was a single line written in big, careful letters. Thank you for not opening. I'm trying to teach him. I taped the letter inside my closet, not as a trophy, as a rule.